Welcome to the Woke Wild Women's Podcast. I am Bethany Evans.
I'm Roxanne Sailors.
And today we have a very special guest. Her name is Jamie McCurdy. And
Hello.
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I was going to say soon to be Jamie, is it Merritt?
Yes, it is.
Merritt.
Yeah.
Yes, because you're getting married in how many weeks?
Exactly 2 months from today.
Yay.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jamie and I have known each other for about, I guess, 13 or 14 years we established. And at first we kind of just knew each other. We were acquaintances, and then we got a little bit closer and then lost touch. Well, we met through our ex-husbands. Like they were friends.
Yes.
And that's how we met. So I feel like that's one of the biggest reasons we were with them, Jamie. It was so you and I could find each other.
Yes, I got a lot of friends from that marriage that I kept.
Yeah, me
after
too.
the divorce.
Good.
So
and then we kind of we in and out, we kind of would connect, and then you moved for a little bit, and then we reconnected, and then the last time we reconnected was last year, like summertime or something like that. And then we discovered that we both had a love and an urge to create moon circles. So now we get to do that locally together, and she's my partner in that. So yeah. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited about our conversation. So Jamie is a massage therapist locally in Ventura, California. So how long have you been doing massage now?
I'm going on 6 years. So 5, I guess.
Nice. So can you tell us a little bit about what led you to start studying massage therapy? Because what did you do before that?
Well, I worked for the county of Ventura for 8 years and kind of loathed it. I was a management assistant, and it just was sort of soul sucking for me.
Yeah.
And then right before the divorce, I quit and just kind of did nothing. I did nothing for a while, which was fun. Actually not as fun as it seems. I had basically no purpose, and I was doing working retail and catering and stuff, which was definitely just a means, really just to occupy my time and to get my mom off my back. She kept bugging me about work.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was when I decided to start doing massage. I was just lost. I had no purpose, no direction, and I was like, I don't know what's next. I thought about finishing my degree because I started doing the bachelor routine, and then I didn't finish it, and so that didn't feel right. And then it was a friend of mine who I've known since we were 11 years old, and she showed up at my house one day because my mom is a seamstress, so she came over to have some work done. And I had been watching her on Facebook. We sort of, like Bethany and I, we had been friends a long time, but kind of went in and out of each other's lives, and we're just kind of watching one another on Facebook. And she was kind of like, I just watched her become this superstar. I knew that she had started doing massage, and then all of a sudden she opened her own business and had people working for her. And then she bought this school, the massage school here in town. And so I was sort of like, hey, I've been kind of thinking about you and curious about massage, and maybe that's something I might want to do too. And she said, come down to the school and I'll give you a tour and tell you a little bit about what is entailed. And so I did that. And she's like, basically you go and you get massage and you give massage, and that's how you learn how to be a massage therapist. And I was like, okay, yeah, that sounds good. And I found that I really fell in love with the anatomy and physiology portion of it. And that's really kind of my passion, is understanding how the body works. I think that makes my work what it is. That gives it really all the quality, most of the quality, actually. I shouldn't say all of it, because I do think that I have an innate intuitive touch. Yeah. So, and basically I started school, and every day I went to school, I was more and more sure that it was where I needed to be. And that has definitely not always been the case. I've certainly gone through periods of like, oh my God, what am I doing here? This is ridiculous. I hate this.
Yeah.
Doubting myself and doubting my abilities. You know, people have given me bad reviews, and that always cuts pretty deep. But it's been an amazing growth experience. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. How have you seen yourself grow in terms of like what massage has given you?
Oh God, confidence. Definitely confidence. Every time I get the rug pulled out from under me from somebody like putting a bad review up on Yelp, it knocks me down a peg and helps me stay humble. But then it pushes me to really figure out, what is it that I did wrong? What do I need to change? How can I be better? And that's been amazing. It's also really kind of brought me into understanding what my abilities are, and that, like I said, I do have this innate intuitive touch. During one of those major periods of doubt, when I moved back to Ventura from Santa Cruz, I was like, I think that I'm going to have to stop doing massage. But I had signed up for more schooling, and I was sort of just like, what am I doing? I'm spending all this money on school, knowing that this isn't what I want to do anymore. Like, what a waste. And then I started doing the class that I was taking was Thai massage. Ooh. And it was taught by this man who one of the big things is I was really struggling with men, and had really been praying, asking to be shown that there are decent men in this world. And my teacher was an answer to that prayer. He is just an amazing human being, and he showed me that there is hope, that they're not all terrible.
That's awesome.
Sorry to the men out there. That's just, been my experience.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so during Thai massage, one of the elective classes that we had, not Alexa, cancel. Sorry.
She wants to be a part of the conversation.
She really does. She's probably listening now. Anyway, so one of the classes that we did was, I believe it was Jinshin Jitsu, which is a form of energy work. It's not Reiki, but it's similar. A lot of the energy work is very similar. It's just slight variations. And so during that class, there were a couple of moments where I picked up on things that were going on with my classmates that they had not told me. We had to do sort of this one-on-one work where we were just kind of testing our ability to feel each other energetically. And there was one where we kind of all the class split into two groups and stood on opposite sides of the room from one another. And one side would be stationary and motion, come closer and then stop, and then come closer and then stop. And so the corresponding partner would walk towards based on the guidance given. And one of the people I was doing that with, every time I would motion for her to come closer, my ears would start to hurt. And then I would have her stop, and they would stop. And then I'd motion for her to come closer, and it was like, wow. And the closer she got to me, like, it was like, wow, this really hurts. But it was such a strange sensation. Like, I could tell it wasn't actually my pain, but I could feel it. I don't know how else to really explain that. And so then at the end of the whole experiment, I guess I'll call it, the teacher said, what did you guys experience? And so I explained what had happened to me, and my partner said, oh my gosh, I have been having an ear infection. I've been having pain in my ears for the past week. And I was like, oh, okay, I felt that. And then and then I had another partner later on in the day who I was working with directly, and I was working on him, and sort of the same thing started to happen. My jaw, like it was an intense pain, but like I said, not mine. And I wish that I had words to really describe how I knew that it was not my pain, even though it was really hurt. It would hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then he too said, yeah, I've been having some jaw pain. And he had said before that it was neck pain. And I think, something we'll get into later is that that's often the case, is that neck pain isn't coming from your neck, it's coming from your jaw. And, we don't even notice that we're clenching our jaw throughout the day, and then all of a sudden our neck's killing us, and we're like, oh, why is this? And that's why. So those are the two of the biggest things that I've learned about myself. And then also, like I said, just my absolute love of the human body and fascination, and I'm just in awe of the intricacies of the human body, how it all works together. Everything is connected, is what I tell all of my clients. And like, that's not just a catchphrase. Like, there's, in Chinese theory, they talk about the meridian lines, and there are these channels where for chi to flow through, and chi is life force. And so if there's a blockage along any point of a certain meridian line, the whole meridian line is going to be affected. So there are times when I press a spot on somebody's foot and they can feel it up in their scalp, like that. Everything is connected. So yeah.
I think that's a good segue into our next question, which is like how doing body work on other people has informed your knowledge about the mind-body connection.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess, and then going further than from that notion of everything being connected, is that when I say everything, I mean us too. And so, like I said, I can feel things that are going on in other people's bodies, not all the time. And sometimes I think it's probably happening and I'm not always aware of it. Sometimes I can actually see pain. It kind of shows up in a flash, like a blue spot or a white spot, as I go over a certain part of the body. I lost my train of thought. What was your question?
It was about mind-body connection, like how you see.
Oh, that's right.
I mean,
okay.
Yes, everything in the physical body is connected. I think people generally understand that, but I think sometimes there is a disconnect in people realizing that what's happening, in your mind is also affecting your body, or, elsewhere emotionally,
So actually, a perfect example is somebody a client who recently came to me, and I, have to be careful about going into too much, but this person came to me with some really excruciating pain in the neck and upper shoulders, and it was something that they had never experienced before. And this is someone who was in probably their 40s. And in my mind, to go that long without ever experiencing any kind of neck pain is sort of a novelty. It's sort of amazing. An anomaly is what I meant. Sorry. But yeah, so he was having this really excruciating pain, and just couldn't even sit still. It was really bad. And I treated him a few times and really was encouraging him to go to a doctor, because I'm not a doctor. And as much as I trust my intuition, and I think that I am often pretty correct about stuff that's going on physiologically, I cannot diagnose. And there's a lot that's beyond my abilities. So if you're in excruciating pain, I would advise to go to a doctor, especially if you're thinking about massage. Just get cleared by a doctor just to make sure there's nothing contraindicated for the massage. So yeah, by about the third or fourth session, he was telling me that he was having some relief for at least a few days after the massage. And so he was convinced that it was helping a lot, which was great, but also it wasn't having any lasting effects, which is always frustrating to me. I know that I can't fix people, but I want to. And so if I'm not having enough of an impact, I start to wonder what else is going on. And so, I started asking questions like, is there anything else going on, like, that's stressing you out? And, this person that said, it's funny you should ask. I just lost my dad a few weeks ago. And, his mom was still alive. And, I asked some more questions about that. And then halfway through the conversation, I started thinking like, oh, I don't mean to pry. That phrase kept coming to mind. And I was just like, yes, I do. I absolutely mean to pry, because I feel like this is sort of part of my job is reminding people that things like that, very traumatic events, are going to have a physical toll on your body. And so, he's been sitting here going like, I don't know why this happened. Like, there was no injury. I don't know what this comes, like, why is this happening? And so, I was gently trying to explain to him that grief manifests physically. I had somebody else not too long ago who was her husband had a major personality shift, and throughout the conversation, it occurred to me that this person also, who had just recently lost a father, instead of taking the time to grieve, had really thrown himself into his work, and was having some physical ailments. And one of the things was breathing. And grief is felt in the lungs. That's pretty much where, if you think about when you grieve, it's really hard to take a deep breath, and you breathe really shallowly. And the breath is also extremely important to your body's ability to heal itself. And that's why, like, when you're grieving, that's a big physiological reason why pain comes about. You're not able to dispel all of the junk, and then inflammation starts building up. And another thing is, so there's the parasympathetic autonomic nervous response and the sympathetic. Parasympathetic is what we kind of know as the rest and digest. That's sort of the phrase that's used to describe it. And the sympathetic is fight or flight. So when you're stressed out, your body switches over to the sympathetic autonomic nervous response system. And in that, there's a lot of stuff that happens. You will physically protect your vulnerable parts. So vulnerable parts being that are kind of exposed and not covered in bone, like your belly and your neck, which is exposed to bone, but it's a really, like, it's a kind of this little tiny thing holding up one of the most important parts of the body, the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll bring your shoulders up to protect your neck and to protect your belly.
Mm.
And you do that even just slightly. But because your body is like in contraction, that's when then problems occur. In contraction, blood flow is restricted to the muscle tissue. And so then stuff gets trapped in there. And the other thing is, like, the whole process of building muscle is that you're tearing down the old muscle and building new muscle on top of it. And so that too, if you're not getting enough blood flow, if you're not drinking enough water, stretching, creating space in your body, then dead blood and lactic acid, scar tissue, all gets trapped in the deeper layers of the body. This is my dog.
Hi, sweetie.
I guess.
He's cute. He can't hear you, but
No, that's right.
I got my earbuds on.
Oh.
Anyway, so yeah, even just, little amounts of trauma, like you're extra stressed at work, and then all of a sudden, your knee gives out. Your body does these things to force you to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not going to take a break, your body is going to say, no, we're done. You need to take a break. So that's usually what I find happens, and most people are kind of just not aware of it. So
yeah.
How
do you educate people, like your clients, about it? When you find that that's happening when they're not aware of it.
That's a little bit tricky. I really have to suss out if they're receptive, because that is one of the complaints that has been about me, is that I'm giving unsolicited advice.
That was a question I was going to ask you, was like, what do the Yelp reviews say? Because, like, is it just because you're like triggering them in some way and it's all their own stuff, or is it really your skills as a massage therapist? Because you know how people can be.
Oh, yeah, no, it's never been about my skills. It's been
you're dropping some truth bombs and they don't want to hear it.
It's not even that. It's just people. It's not even truth bombs. Like, people kind of just. I had one person try to say that I gave him a skin infection.
What?
Yes, and the thing is that I have eczema, and at the time of that session, I was in flare-up, and my eczema is bad on my knuckles. And so this person came in for a very specific massage that uses these oils that I cannot use when I'm in flare-up, because unfortunately, essential oils and coconut oil are two that really don't help.
It irritates it.
What's that?
It irritates them. Your
if I'm in flare up. Like, if I'm not, I'm fine, but yeah, if I'm in flare up, I can't add anything like that to my skin. So I made the mistake of telling this person, like, oh, you're here for this one massage, but I can't actually use the oils. And I explained that I was in flare up, but I neglected to really, really drive the point across that eczema is
not contagious.
Not contagious at all. It's an autoimmune deficiency.
Yeah.
So, and then this person, anyway, they went to the gym right after getting worked on, and probably didn't shower.
God, that's the worst.
That's disgusting.
Right. And so massage cream is very occlusive. It can clog the pores.
Yeah.
I happened to see that this person also had a review right around the same time about a motel that he had stayed in. It was really unhappy with. And so the other thing is that
It's just the person wants to complain about everything.
that too, but also if he went in a hot tub and got folliculitis, it was probably from the hot tub, not from the massage.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a leap for him to flat out accuse me when there were a lot of factors.
But see, that's the thing is it kind of goes along with what we're talking about, is like, because he could physically see that you had some kind of skin, something going on. That's
Right.
where the connection is, because he could see it. Right. And of course, masculine energy wants to like see evidence for something. So if you don't know for sure that you got it from a hot tub or from the gym because you didn't actually see somebody else with the skin something, you know,
Sure.
and that's
what,
right. So it's easy to just say it was you because he actually saw it on you. But that's the thing about, like, with people, we don't realize like how things are affecting us because we can't see it, you know, like we don't, you know, when we're talking about the mind body connection and the grief and the emotional stuff that's actually affecting us, because we can't physically see it, it's harder to make that connection.
Right. Yeah. And then the other review I got was somebody who just wasn't communicating with me, wasn't communicating their needs. And, you know, I was checking in with them and they were telling me everything was good.
Right. But then they go home and complain.
Yeah. It was like, okay, well, at some point you have to be in control of your body, and, you know, you have to ask for what you need.
Exactly.
And when you're working with people in such an intimate way, like, I mean, talking about their body, and working with them that way, it's, there's always this interesting dynamic. I'm a personal trainer, fitness instructor, and I also have run, fitness business. And so there's this, there is a need for good communication, like you were saying. And there's also this kind of energetic, like some people are drawn because they really need the work, but they're not ready to do the work for themselves.
Yes.
And so when they don't get the results they want because they haven't done the work, they want to just put it on their practitioner, whoever that is.
Right.
It's like, you didn't get me to lose 10 pounds.
You didn't
right.
You didn't fix that problem I had.
Yeah.
Right. But in both cases, you know, although I was very like got a little bit obsessive and really, really read every single word meticulously that was written and checked out their profiles to see if they were just like complainers, if they were looking for trying to get something for free, because I know that is something that happens on Yelp, unfortunately. And I tried to look at all of the points and as much as I can reason it away from being my responsibility, I actually did, I switched to a different kind of lotion, a different massage cream after that, just to be absolutely sure. And because the massage cream that I had been using was actually contributing to my eczema flare-ups. So it actually did
help you.
lead me to use a better cream, which was, you know, really has been really helpful for me. And then with the other one who didn't communicate their needs to me, it really kind of helped me say, like, okay, well, my massage is not like, if somebody's looking for super duper deep work, and this is another thing that I want to get into, is that there is a very big difference between deep tissue and deep pressure. Deep tissue is not always deep pressure, and it's that whole adage, there's no pain, no gain, just does not apply to massage. It really doesn't. You should never leave the massage table bruised unless you're like a hemophiliac or something. I you know, and in that case, maybe don't get massage. I don't know. That's a thing for your doctor to decide for you or help you decide. So yeah, but after that, you know, it did kind of help me go like, okay, I don't want to do deep tissue. Like, just don't advertise that for me, because if people come in thinking that deep tissue means I'm going to, you know, break their back, then I don't want them coming to me.
So that was her, and then that woman's complaint was that you didn't
is that it wasn't deep enough. But that was the thing, is that, like, as I was asking her, checking in with her, how's the pressure? and she says it's good, if somebody tells me the pressure is good, why would I go deeper?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And she was definitely giving me cues. I knew that she was unhappy because of her body language and just like what she was doing. But the words she kept telling me was that everything was fine.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about, is that you have to be responsible for your own self. Like, yeah,
Your own body.
if you're a 50-year-old woman and you can't communicate your needs, like, that is really not my fault.
Yeah.
You know, and when somebody's squirming on my table, that doesn't always mean my pressure's not enough. Sometimes that means my pressure is too much. So if I were to have gone deeper and her complaint was that I was too deep, like, do you see, I mean, that's kind of,
that's where you're
a tough spot for me to be in. But at the same time, like I said, I took the opportunity to say, okay, so what could I have done differently? Or maybe I need to check in with my work, and maybe there's some inconsistency. So I got together with my friend who I mentioned that I've known since we're 11, who owned the establishment that I actually work at now and the school that I went to. I got together with her, and she is one of the best therapists I have ever had the privilege of receiving bodywork from. And so we did a trade together, which is a really excellent way to learn. Receiving bodywork is a really great way to learn, which is, I'm not mad about that. We did a 90-minute session, and I went through and I said, every single stroke I did, how does this feel? How can I make it better? What's going on? And she said, she showed me that, like, your pressure is a little inconsistent. And so I said, okay, so here, and I kind of realized that I needed to be putting more of my body into it. And, it's been a few years since I've been in school, and, you get into kind of some routines.
Yeah.
And, anyway, so I do think that my body work has improved because of that. So yeah.
Cool. Well, what kind of body work do you specialize in? And maybe if you wanted to talk more about the difference between deep tissue and deep pressure.
Okay. Yeah. So I have studied Western massage, which is mostly Swedish. And that's a pretty standard, you take your clothes off and get on a table under the blankets. Sometimes I come into the room and people are on top of the blankets. I'm like, I don't understand why you would think that would be what I want you to do. There's a bottom sheet and a top sheet. Like, get in the sheet. Get in.
That's where the communication comes into play, where you have to be very specific. Please get under the sheet.
I can't even tell you how many times I have explained things to people and they still ignore the words that I say.
I wonder if people get nervous because they're, like, getting naked in front of a stranger.
Yeah. And I think that is sort of like the thing about people get a little bit fearful, like, oh, I don't want her to see me naked. I don't see people naked. That's not what I do.
I see your naked arm, naked leg.
Yes, your naked leg. I don't even see naked buns. Like, I work on glutes over the sheet because I find they're really, there's a lot of muscle tissue there. It's really deep, and being able to get some friction is really important. So just gliding over the surface isn't really doing much. So I really have to, having a sheet there is helpful to me. Nice. So, anyway, I keep you covered. I keep you draped when you're on my table, unless we're doing Thai massage, which is very different. Thai massage is traditionally done on a mat on the floor, and you're clothed. And I like to say that it's like having yoga done to your body. Yeah. It's a series of stretching and compression. And, a lot of my clients stretch regularly. I shouldn't say a lot. A few of my clients stretch regularly, but I'm still able to get into certain areas better than they are able to get into them on their own.
Yeah.
And that is what I find with Thai massage, is that, like, sometimes people are almost too flexible for it, but usually I can get you into a stretch that you just can't get into on your own. So yeah, that is Thai massage is something that I love to do. It's actually a lot more work. It's just more of my body. It's more involved for me, and it's kind of exhausting, but I love to do it. I wish I had more clients who requested it. And then the other thing I studied is, it's called neurostructural bodywork. And it's kind of a proprietary modality that the founder of my school developed. And it's a deep tissue modality, utilizing it's sort of a combination of sports massage. There's actually a lot that's very similar to Thai. And it's really working with the body to be able to get into the deeper layers of tissue, without having to like kill myself to get there, and also cause bruising and pain to the client receiving the work. And I usually I incorporate all of them, and I also incorporate my own energetic work, which I'm not trained in Reiki. Like I've said, I've studied a little bit about a couple of different energy techniques, but I'm not trained in that. But I do know that like that's just something that innately is in me. And yeah.
Nice. So what do you think like the most important piece of wisdom, or like the thing that people don't fully understand when they're receiving massage is? Maybe we've already gone over it a little bit, but
we have touched on a couple of points.
Yeah.
Your breath is crucial. If I get to a spot that hurts, the tendency is to like hold your breath, and that is the worst thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
Breathing through it. If you can't breathe through it, let me know and I will back off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the no pain, no gain notion is just not the case. You need to be able to breathe through what's being done to your body. And like I said, I can get into some deep layers of tissue without actually using super deep pressure. And
how do you do that? Like, could you explain it at all?
Sure, I could tell you subscapularis. That's
sure. I mean, why not?
That's my favorite.
Is it your favorite?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when people come to me with shoulder pain, 9 times out of 10, it's that their subscapularis is all trapped up, and I can usually relaxing the outer layers and the surrounding areas is the best way to be able to soften the tissue around it so that you can get into the deeper parts. Psoas is another big one. If you have
for me, because I know Roxanne understands these, but I do not. So what
parts
of the body are they? Like where?
So these are muscles. Subscapularis is between the
under
scapula.
Your blade.
Yeah,
okay.
under your
your
scapula, in between your scapula and the rib cage.
Okay.
Intercostals. Anyway, it's one of the muscles in the rotator cuff.
Okay.
And psoas is a deep stabilizing muscle in your low back. It actually attaches to the lumbar spine, but sort of the inside part of the lumbar spine. So not the back of the spine. It kind of, I find that going in through the belly is the best way to get to it.
Yeah.
So, and then it weaves through your pelvis and attaches to the top of your femur. So, also when people come into me and they say, "Oh, I have sciatica," my first question is, "Oh, is that diagnosed?" Because sciatica is really excruciating, and you probably don't have it. Let's hope you don't have it, because it's pretty awful from what I understand.
Yeah.
and what they mean is that their back hurts or their glutes hurt, their hips are a little achy. And most of the time what it is piriformis, which is also kind of a deep muscle. It's a lateral hip rotator, I think. And, but it rests on top of the sciatic nerve. And so if it gets inflamed, it can irritate the sciatic nerve and cause like a false sciatica. So most of the time, loosening up piriformis and the adductors, the inner thighs, that really can reduce a lot of low back pain. Glutes and hamstrings, adductors, those are probably the most crucial for loosening up. That's low back pain. Huh?
I said that's why my low back hurts. I don't have super flexible
hamstrings. Most people have really tight hamstrings.
Yeah.
And then pecs for shoulders, and like I said, jaw. Those are jaw, pecs, subscapulars usually are the key muscles that need to be worked out to relieve like this. People, I hold my tension here. Like I hear that 100 freaking times a week.
Yeah.
Not that I have 100 clients. I hold my tension here. Like I said, you're protecting your neck and you're on your phone and you're driving. And so those motions are contributing to your muscles being pulled inward. I mean, and the jaw thing, I mean, anytime someone comes to me with neck pain, I'm like, do you grind or clench your jaw? Are you aware of this? And almost every single time, oh yeah, I do. Most of the time it's like, yeah, I have a night guard, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's, and unfortunately, like there's not a whole lot you can do with if you're grinding your teeth. Like you're doing that when you're sleeping and you're not really aware of it. Other than telling people, meditate. Do you meditate? That might help.
Yeah. That mindfulness.
Yeah. Breath. Utilizing your breath.
So important.
Yeah. You can really change. You can trigger the parasympathetic autonomic nervous response just by taking, I think it's like 4 mindful breaths. 10 will really like kind of flips a switch in your brain. 10 really deep breaths into your belly. And that's another thing. I tell people to breathe into their belly. And what they do is they like deflate their belly and inflate their chest. And then when they exhale, they inflate their belly. And that's the exact opposite of what I'm asking for.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I think that's important. A lot of people don't know, like you could tell people to breathe or breathe deeply, but you can't, like, if they don't know how or like where to feel the sensation, because do you find you send people away with little practices like that, or like help them, do a lot? I mean,
I try to.
Some of your clients, I'm assuming, are open to your suggestions.
Right. And most of the time they don't actually do them, but people kind of appreciate hearing things that they can take charge.
Right.
And it varies.
Because you don't want people to be dependent upon coming to you in order to like, fix their physical problems. You want to be able to help them do it at home too, and figure out what the actual issue is so that they're not coming to you over and over again for the same thing.
Yes. Well, the thing is that the best way to utilize massage is as a preventative.
Yeah.
Like, so I have clients who wait till they're in excruciating pain to come see me. And I tell them, I'm like, first of all, that is so much more work for me. And second of all, if you would come in regularly, we could prevent this from occurring, for the most part. I have a few clients who are really dedicated to come in regularly, and they do every once in a while have problems. They pull a muscle running or whatever it is. But for those clients, it's pretty few and far between. When they're dedicated to getting work done regularly, injury doesn't occur nearly as often.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I guess the other thing is, if you're thinking about massage but you're nervous about getting undressed in front of someone, at no point am I in the room with you when you're naked. Like that, I mean,
staring at you in the corner.
Yes, I'm actively trying not to see your bits. You know, that is really.
You heard it here, people.
Yes.
They don't care about your private parts.
No, I have a fiance. I'm pretty happy that way. So
yeah. He doesn't need to see people naked.
No. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also not conducive to like relaxation. Like, yeah.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is the point of like the first, I feel like, main goal of massage is for people to relax, you know?
Yeah. And that too, like, relaxing is an art form. I have people who like get on my table and they're fighting me.
Yeah.
And I'm
oh my
like,
God. Yeah.
why are you doing this? Like,
right.
And I remember in my first year working professionally as a massage therapist, I had a client on my table and she kept lifting up her head every time I went to work on her neck. And if you're lifting up your head, I'm not going to, like, I can't
right.
do anything.
Right.
You know, like people think they're helping me by lifting up their head. Like, dude, your head's like 10 pounds. I can handle it.
Yeah.
Your arm is like 5. I can definitely handle that. Like, I'm strong enough.
Well, yeah,
trust me.
You've been trained. It's like at some point people
Yeah.
have to let go and trust that you are a professional,
Right.
that you know what you're doing. You know.
So I told this one woman, I said, let go of that. And she kept not doing it. And then she was like, I don't know what you mean. And she sounded so stressed out that she didn't understand what I meant by let go. And I was just like, so taken aback. Like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, you don't know how to let go of your arm. So I tried to switch my wording and said, I just want you to relax. I don't engage your muscles. Mm-hmm. When you're engaging your muscles, it's a different, it's doing something different. You know, there are times when contracting your muscles are appropriate and helpful in the massage, but for the most part, loose muscle tissue is what I want to work on. Yeah. And I also need to utilize gravity. So when I'm working on your neck, like make your head heavy, not like forcing it back, but just letting it be its weight is the best way for me to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you do cupping at all?
I do, yes.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Cupping, it's not a bruise. It's the exact opposite of a bruise. It's more like a hickey. So the cups actually suction. And I have a picture. I took pictures of my friend last time I cupped her. I
nice.
Wish I could. Anyway.
Janine did mine recently and I have a picture of my back.
It's a little trippy. I didn't really like it the first time I had it done. And I think it really kind of varies person to person. Usually, I mean, like the traditional way of doing it is they're called fire cups and they're glass and you like put oil on the rim and then you light them on fire. And then it suctions the tissue into it. We don't use those because they're a little bit dangerous. You can't regulate the temperature very well, and I don't really want to burn people.
Oh yeah, you would have a million Yelp reviews for negative Yelp reviews for that.
We don't need that. No. So the ones that I use, they're hard plastic, and it has a gun, a pump so there's a valve at the top, and the gun, like just, it's a simple thing. It's not electronic. It's all manual. And I pump and I pull the tissue into it. So like I said, I didn't like it the first couple of times the first time I had it done. And I think that the practitioner had just pulled it too many times. There were too many pumps and it was just really uncomfortable.
Yeah. So it's not supposed to be uncomfortable. Like, how is it supposed to feel?
I mean, it's not super
pleasant.
It's never super pleasant. The thing is, so there's still cups, and there's a lot of different a lot of options for cups. There's these silicone cups that doesn't utilize a gun, and you kind of push them in. Anyway, those don't pull as much of the tissue into them. And I think those are a little bit more comfortable. What I really like to do is just a like 1.5 pump on the gun, and then have a bunch of oil on the skin and then slide the cups. I think that feels the absolute best. Mm-hmm. I like to cup myself. I have an extension cord, and
cool.
I think it's the best because I can feel where I am. Like if I cup your back, I can kind of guess which spots are going to be the most advantageous, but I'm not always right.
Yeah.
And whereas when I'm doing it to myself, I can feel like, oh, that spot doesn't help. Mm-hmm. That spot, that's too much right there, and I tell people, like, if any of these are uncomfortable, let me know. And most of the time they start to get, it kind of makes your skin really sensitized. And so you almost don't feel them after a couple minutes. And I only leave them on for 10, maybe 15 minutes because mm-hmm. you don't want the skin to get too sensitized.
Yeah.
The biggest thing is drinking a lot of water before, mm-hmm. preferably, and after. Yeah. I have had cupping done to me before that I wasn't drinking enough water, and I woke up the next day and I felt hungover. And it's because it's drawing, like I said, when you're building muscle tissue, you're breaking down the old tissue and building on top of it. And so stuff gets caught in the layers, and there's, dead blood, scar tissue, lactic acid. So what the cup does is it separates the layers of tissue and pulls all of that crap out of the layers of muscle tissue, mm-hmm. and brings it back into the bloodstream to get processed out through your body.
Yeah.
And so that's why keeping your circulation up through water consumption is so crucial. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also letting me know if that one feels like it's too much or it's too close to the other one and it's so uncomfortable, then, I can move them mm-hmm. to a different spot. I want it to be as effective as it can be. And people don't always know, you don't always know what's going to be most beneficial, but, yeah, not being exposed to too much heat is also really important. I love when I have male clients and, they're coming in to get cupping and they ask, they're like, oh, is this, anything I should know? And I'm like, yeah, you might not want to, go do a bikini competition after this because for one thing, they're kind of unsightly,
Yeah.
These big round tattoos. What is that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But also you just wouldn't want too much sun exposure for at least 24 hours.
Okay.
After having it done. And hot showers. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay. Yeah.
I know that.
And maybe avoid drinking too much alcohol.
Oh yeah. Well, because it just dehydrates you.
Yes. Precisely.
So the sun and heat before and after, or just after?
Not.
Right.
I mean, before is fine.
Avoid it. Okay. Yeah.
Before is probably fine, but I mean, no, I wouldn't cup someone who's sunburned.
Yeah.
That would be not good.
That would be terrible. Oh my God.
Yeah, that would be horribly painful. Like I said, it sensitizes the skin, and so the reason that you want to avoid heat is because your skin's just a little fragile where the cups were.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Like anything important about massage you would love everyone to know before we wrap up?
Communicate.
Communicate.
Yeah. It's not going to hurt my feelings to have you say like, hey, that's not enough pressure, or that's too much pressure, or I really wish you wouldn't touch me there.
Yeah.
It's your body. It's your massage. I want to help you. I'm like, that is why I do what I do. I love when I'm able to really, when someone comes in and they're in pain and I'm able to address it, like it's so satisfying. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm doing this. I want you to feel good. So
Exactly. Yeah. People forget it's a service industry job.
Yeah. And tip your massage therapist.
Yes, that too.
Yes.
Did you have any other questions, Roxanne?
No, I love talking bodies and body work, and so much of what you said resonates what I do as an embodiment coach, getting people to get in their bodies and understand their bodies better, both physiologically and energetically, like understanding that, if you are having really tight hips, maybe that's, where does that show up in your life? Where are you holding on to, emotions and pain and grief? And, I think I just want to say it is so important. If you have all your practitioners, from hairdressers to massage therapists to personal trainers to doctors to your baristas, let people know what you want and keep that communication going. I have to remind myself sometimes, because I know, like, you guys know best how to, work tension out of my body, but it's not supposed to feel awful. Like it's supposed to actually provide relief and comfort and, healing. So if you're not feeling that, communicate it, but also let it in.
Yeah. It's a partnership. Right. It's like, it has to be both. So like, we're going to a person who's an expert because they've trained in it, but we're all experts of our own body and what's happening within us. So we have to tell them what's happening and be honest about it, but be honest about it.
Yeah, so exactly. Like, yes, I know a lot about the skeletal structure and the muscular structure, and I'm intuitive. That doesn't mean that I feel every single thing you're feeling. Right. You are the only person who knows what you're feeling. And I firmly believe that the world needs you to ask for what you need and for what you want in all areas, like you said, even in your barista.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're not
don't be afraid.
Of
asking for your needs. Yeah. I mean, the worst you'll hear is no, and that's not the end of the world. It's well, I guess that's not the worst you possibly could hear, but anyway, I digress.
And it starts with, you have to dive deep within yourself to find out those things, the sensations, to actually feel things that you like and that you don't like, all of it, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually.
I love it.
Absolutely. Well, so how can people get in touch with you if they would like to work with you?
Well, I suppose I could give my phone number.
Well, do you do email address, or how do people get in touch with you now? It goes through Embody Wellness?
Usually, yeah. I mean, I do have private clientele.
Okay.
I can offer a slightly different price point than they do. We are actually just raising our prices at Embody Wellness, but I work at Embody Wellness Ventura. That's EMBODY, Embody. And it's off of Market. Well, the address is on Market, but you have to turn onto Tower Square Drive and go around the loop to get into the parking lot. That's something
a little confusing. I always pass it.
Yes. It's a one-way loop too. So if you pass,
it's weird.
It's a little confusing the first time you go, but
after. But if you have an email address, maybe, if you don't want to give out your phone number, and then we'll also put it in the show notes too.
Okay.
It's go ahead.
Jamie.r.mccurdy@gmail.com. That's JAMIE.r.mccurdy@gmail.com. So.
Yes. And I can personally say that Jamie is a fantastic massage therapist.
Thank you.
I've gotten multiple massages from her.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Awesome.
And she's very knowledgeable.
Yes. And I love to talk body.
Yeah.
Like Roxanne was saying. So,
and I love that. If someone can teach me something new that I didn't know before, I'm like, please tell me so that I understand myself more,
Yeah. That was the one thing about going to massage school that I was like, wow, there is so much that I'm learning that I never knew before, that I feel like people should know. Like there is an instruction manual to the human body. You just have to, I don't know why it's not taught in
school. Yeah.
Every single year of
taught in school.
Yeah. Like really, I feel like it should be taught not just at one point, but like throughout schooling.
Yeah.
Because there's so much.
Absolutely.
To know. So
I agree.
Yes. So many things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jamie. It's been a
Thanks,
pleasure.
Jamie.
You're welcome.
It was wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.